Alright, we're coming up on my favorite Peter Parker segment, which is a prelude to my favorite level in the game. This Peter Parker section is my favorite because it has the most stuff to do. You can even eavesdrop on customers that you aren't directly speaking with. Basically, I think this upcoming section is what best demonstrates the merits of the Peter Parker gameplay segments. I kinda wish it were a little longer, but beggars can't be choosers.
Wouldn't mind chatting with Fisk, see what he knows about all this. But I kinda have a feeling he's not the most approachable guy in the world. And none of it matters if I can't get inside. Wait, I think I've got it. With that fundraiser's level of security, I can't use my press pass to bluff my way in. Unless I'm really supposed to be there. But a photographer needs a reporter, and I bet I know one who's already planning to go. Oh, Whitney! Thanks again for using me on this.
Hey, I get it. College is expensive. You want to make easy money taking boring pictures of wrinkly rich people? Go nuts! But you should probably stay away from me.
Let me guess, you've got some pointed questions about the task force?
Among other things. I give it 10 minutes before I get kicked out.
Hey, Harry!
Pete! Oh man, I know we haven't seen each other much since we were kids, but this doesn't seem like your kind of scene.
Society pages. I'm a part-time photographer for the Bugle. Smile. Great, got it. Thanks. Fisk is putting a pretty big target on his back. Why do you think he does it?
He grew up in Hell's Kitchen. Lots of crime, gangs. I think this is his way of taking control. Standing up to the guys who bullied him when he was a kid. But knowing Fisk, he's also got a plan in place to profit from it.
Whitney Chang says the cops on the task force are crooked too.
I just supply the tech. Fisk handpicked the men. But the police chief cleared them all.
The chief's desperate to stop the crime wave. He's not gonna argue with the guy who's helping him do that.
Well, one thing's for sure. The task force is getting results. And no one likes to mess with success.
Hey, I gotta ask. Why Fisk? I hear some pretty shady rumors about him.
He's the only one rich enough who is willing to work with me. I've got a lot on my plate. I can't waste time worrying about people attacking Oscorp. And our public image could use a boost. I'll tell you this, though. The rumors are true. Fisk is definitely into some illegal stuff. But good luck proving it.
Drinks, gentlemen? Take.
Whoops. Sorry.
You know, don't worry about it. I gotta go anyways. I've got, important things to do.
Me too. Something fishy about that guy. Better follow him. Time to get into my work clothes. No doorbell. I guess I better get creative.
Please, what do you want?
From you, nothing. We just need your waiter uniforms so we can serve Fisk a special recipe.
I want to play the alternate version of this level from the Russian side where it's a hitman stage. Like, that'd be fucking rad as shit. I was all about Alekhine's gun. And yes, I know that's not how you pronounce Alakine, but that's how Alakine's Gun, the video game, pronounces the word Alakine. For this combat segment, we need to make sure that the thugs are not in the green circle without us also inside the green circle at the same time. It's a very easy objective. I'm not even sure why the green circle is there when it's so fucking giant, and the fights do not take up that much space. Basically, the waiters were a checkpoint that the bad guys were trying to capture.
Open Sesame.
Probably makes more sense when I put it that way.
On to plan B.
I really like the atmosphere of this level a lot. Just like the way the environment is designed and the time of night it is and everything really speaks to me. Makes me wish this level was longer. This is not my favorite level, by the way. This is still the prelude to my favorite level. But this fight out here, like, there's just a lot of atmosphere out here. Like, look at the lighting. Look at the really worn brick texture underneath us. Look at the dilapidated windows. It's cool. I wish this level was longer, so there was more of this stuff. I won't lie, I like the stealth in this game enough that I would probably just play new levels in this engine. Just on loop, basically. Just as a way to relax. I don't really care for the combat so much. It's not, like, offensive or anything, and it's much less automated than the combat in the prequel, but also, like, the stealth is far and away more satisfying. That being said, if you have a certain suit equipped, and you just blast all of the baddies with a seismic blast, then the combat basically becomes a non-issue, because you just insta-daze everyone in a huge radius.
Well, I saved Fisk from the Russians. Now to find out if I have to save anyone else from him. Time to mingle. See what these big shots have to say about what's going on.
All I know is...
So, this is gonna sound like a bad pickup line, but you seem really familiar. Have we met?
Judging from your bargain basement suit, I doubt we move in the same circles.
Oh, I get it. One with a silver spoon in your mouth, huh?
Hardly. For me, silver's an acquired taste.
Well, I'm here for the Daily Bugle, so, you know anything interesting about Fisk?
I know he hangs out with rich older men, and you're scaring him off, so I'll have to say goodbye. Look me up when you move out of your mom's basement.
I don't live with my mom. I live with my aunt. Well, nice meeting you. My name's Peter. As if you care.
I'm Felicia.
But what? Well, he knows how to make an entrance. By blotting out the sun. Time to talk to the big man himself.
Hey, back off.
Should I tell Whitney Chang he has no comment on the Russian mobsters tied up downstairs?
It's all right. I like this young man's boldness. He mustn't reveal that to anyone. It would play into the criminals' hands. They want to make people afraid to support my anti-crime efforts.
But if no one knows what they did, they'll get away with it. And try again.
Oh, I assure you, they will not get away with it.
Meaning what, exactly?
Well, the task force will get them, of course. We've been gathering intelligence on this organization for some time.
But no one's been able to stop them yet. Not the police, not Spider-Man.
Don't say that name to me! Spider-Man. He fancies himself a hero. But he's let crime run rampant. The police are bound by the laws of probable cause. Spider-Man is not. If he hasn't stopped this scum by now, he's either incompetent, or he simply doesn't care.
What's your beef with Spider-Man? Seems like you're after the same thing.
If Spider-Man is going to operate outside the law, one would think he can accomplish things more expediently. But he contents himself with apprehending purse snatchers. He's a dilettante, a thrill seeker, worse than useless. Still, he does seem popular with children. In fact, I recently secured his likeness rights.
You what? How about this Carnage killer? Is the task force chasing him?
We are interested in catching anyone who commits a crime. But it's a lot harder to find one man than an entire gang of them.
And I bet the fact he's killing guys you don't like doesn't exactly bother you.
I do not condone murder, of course. But am I shedding tears for his victims? No, I am not.
Gathering intelligence, huh? Find out anything interesting?
The Russians are clever. They operate in cells, each knowing very little about the others. When one group is taken down, it rarely leads to further arrests.
But someone's got to be calling the shots.
Well, they do have a central base of operations, but very few know where it is. Finding it will be another matter entirely. It's this very war that will be the end of the gangs. The more they escalate, the harder it becomes for them to hide.
Wait, are you saying the Russians are still smuggling guns into the city?
Don't put words in my mouth, young man. I'm just a backer. I leave the crime fighting to trained professionals. Now, excuse me. I have funds to raise.
Yeah, I've got, important things to do, too.
I really dig Fisk's voice actor and his portrayal in this game. I feel like games have difficulty doing Kingpin justice sometimes, but not this one. I think this one's right on the money. Definitely my favorite Kingpin portrayal in a video game. Certainly better than Amazing Spider-Man vs. the Kingpin, where he puts out a measly $10,000 bounty on Spider-Man, which is just ridiculous. $10,000 would barely cover my colonoscopy, Kingpin. I know you've got more money than that. That's just pathetic. Do you want Spider-Man caught or fucking not?
That map I found showed a lot of Russian mob activity around a trucking company. Seems like the perfect cover for bringing weapons into the city. I could stop that truck right now, but I'd rather see where it's headed.
Quick, before those task force idiots see us.
Relax. We set a car on fire 10 blocks away. They're distracted by that.
And here we are at my favorite level in the entire game. It is a giant stealth playground. First of all, the setting here is brilliant for a stealth level. Look at all the shit to climb on. And even if there weren't any guys to actually stealth take down here, this would be fun on its own. Just look at all the cool shit you can climb, even if there weren't bad guys here. But there are bad guys here, and that just makes it better. It's so densely packed, and the fact that you can stick to literally any surface means you can approach the bad guys from any fucking direction you want, and it's awesome. And there's a lot of little things, too. Like, the way the enemy layouts work, some of them are optional, some of them definitely aren't, but even the optional ones have rewards. Either you'll overhear new dialogue from optional enemies, or the optional enemies will be guarding tech points you can use to upgrade yourself, or sometimes both. It really feels to me like the first level that was made with the full capabilities of the Web Rush, it's called Web Rush, in mind. Because the ability to get anywhere finally feels like it has a more concrete purpose in regards to the stealth. It always made the stealth easier and more fun, but now getting everywhere, it's just, you know, expected of you. I really hope Beanox was proud of this level because it's dynamic, it's open, it allows the player to explore the full utilities of the stealth and web rush mechanics. You know what, it really reminds me of like a collectible-focused platformer. Collectathons, that's what they call those. But instead of collectibles, there's just a ton of dudes to stealth take down. And I'm fine with that. We're also wearing the stealth suit right now. The suit's called a Big Time, and it makes you harder to spot, increases the range at which you can stealth take down enemies, all kinds of good stuff. Comparing this to a collectathon made me realize that even though this map is pretty big, and that's definitely to its benefit because it adds to the open feeling, the go anywhere, attack from any angle sort of feeling, there could always be bigger maps. Obviously not in this game. You know, Beanox had a budget, they had deadlines, they had to finish a game. But I'm just imagining, what if there were an even bigger map that was just as open and just as densely packed with things to web rush to? How big do you think it could get? I feel like it could go exponentially big. I feel like it would never get old. You know, for all I know, I could be describing a game that already exists. Someone could tell me, hey, have you played Metal Gear Solid 5 or Ground Zeroes or whichever one it was that was open world? Maybe it's both. I haven't played either. But you can't play as Spider-Man in those, I don't think. And you can't web rush either. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I am wrong, I'll go play one of those as soon as I can. But I don't think you can web rush in those or play as Spider-Man. And then, you know, there's the fine details, like, would the enemies glow purple when it was safe to do a stealth takedown? Because that's a big part of this for me, is that the enemies glow purple when it's safe to take them down. I just don't know. I feel like there are essential pieces of the experience that would need to be replicated. Even though I feel like this is the Spider-Man game that pushes stealth the most, it's a little nuts to remember that Spider-Man 2000 had stealth. And the stealth in that wasn't nuanced to any degree. This stealth isn't either, let's be fair, but the stealth in Spider-Man 2000 worked. It was more convenient and easier than just punching the enemies straight on. I would also argue that, even as far back as Spider-Man 2000, they were already experimenting with omnidirectional combat, similar to Arkham. I mean, obviously, fuck, I fucked that up. Well, guess now we gotta fight. Anyway, as I was saying, I would argue that even as far back as Spider-Man 2000, they were experimenting with the idea of omnidirectional Arkham-style combat. Obviously, Spider-Man 2000 couldn't do that quite yet. It was not up to the task. But I think there are plenty of hints that that's what they would have liked to do. And then Ultimate Spider-Man and Spider-Man 3 both got closer, but in different ways. It feels like they had a more unique spin on omnidirectional combat than Arkham eventually would. And Spider-Man 3 is definitely my favorite take on omnidirectional combat. Spider-Man 3 on the PlayStation 3 and 360, I mean. I want to be clear, I mean the PS3 and 360 versions. There was a huge focus on evasion and player skill, and it feels like maybe the Amazing Spider-Man games, which are just more directly Arkham, are kind of a step backwards. But Spider-Man 3 came out 2 years before Arkham Asylum. And its combat, even though it's my favorite take on omnidirectional combat, Spider-Man 3's combat required a lot of skill. It required a lot of getting used to. It was not for everyone, and it frustrated a lot of people, the combat system in Spider-Man 3. So it's not hard to see why Activision would think maybe they should go more directly with their competition's idea, because they were already experimenting with omnidirectional combat. So, you know, and the Spider-Sense thing, I guess it just kind of made sense to use Arkham combat for Spider-Man. And obviously, the stealth in pretty much all modern Spider-Man games is directly inspired by Arkham, but I think that's just an all-around good fit. I feel like some things were lost when Spider-Man transitioned away from the Spider-Man 3 style and more directly to an Arkham style as far as combat. But when they decided to go full Arkham with the stealth, I think that was a great idea. I think it works really well with Spider-Man, even better with Spider-Man than with Batman. But I'm also clearly biased in favor of the stealth in this game, in case you can't tell. Which I think you can, by now. I suppose while we're on the subject of stealth, I should mention it's been too long since Shattered Dimensions, and I don't remember how the Noir levels went. For all I know, the Noir levels will just blow me away, and they'll be my favorite Spider-Man stealth levels in anything. But it's been too long. Also, I only own the Wii version of Shattered Dimensions, so when I play Shattered Dimensions, I'm gonna get the 360 or PS3 version, obviously. No offense to the Wii, but, I mean, playing Edge of Time on the Wii was a mistake, as much as I love Edge of Time. Edge of Time looks really gross on the Wii, and playing a character action game with a Wii remote and nunchuck is stressful. It's taxing. Unless it's, like, built around the Wii, like Soul Calibur Legends was. Edge of Time definitely was not built around the Wii. It was built around the PS3 and 360. So next time I play Edge of Time, and when I play Shattered Dimensions, I'm going to play those on the 360 or PS3 instead of the Wii, so I can get the proper experience. For some sick reason, I also exclusively own Web of Shadows on the Wii, and that was just nearly impossible for me to play because I kept disconnecting the nunchuck while trying to swing. Well, we only got one guy left, and we can't really stealth him, so I guess we're doing this again. There has to be another way to take these guys out, right? There has to be something I'm doing wrong. This can't be the intended way to fight these guys, is this loop of stunning them and then running up and punching them and then stunning them again. It's just such a cumbersome enemy design, especially when you can stealth take down every other enemy in the level. But yeah, there we go. That was my favorite bit of the game. I wish I had more to say about it, but I think why it's great is pretty apparent. It's open, it lets you approach the enemies from a bunch of different directions, and it really shows off how versatile the web rush is as a movement mechanic.
I'm telling you, he's right where we left him. Your men are panicking like children.
I believe you. Just show me so I can tell them I saw it with my own eyes.
Better yet, take a picture with your phone. You can show them yourself. We've beaten him senseless.
Alright, it's time to come down from the high of that really long stealth segment and get back to bashing dudes over the head with dumpsters. There's a lot of things in this game that return from the original Amazing Spider-Man video game, but I don't really mention them because even though in some cases they're identical in function, they just feel so different in the original Amazing Spider-Man. If you saw the mechanics, you'd know which ones I'm talking about. But even though to the outside eye, there appear to be very few differences between Amazing Spider-Man 2 and the original Amazing Spider-Man video game, they feel extremely different. They are not similar experiences at all.
Please, I keep telling you, I'm not who you think. I sell advertising.
Then why did someone break in here to save you, huh?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Makes sense now, eh? A weakling like you could never kill our men alone. Tell us who you're working with. Talk!
Nobody. Oh, please, nobody.
So the Russians thought they captured the Carnage Killer, but they didn't at all. That's just a dude. And wow, does it make the Russians look incompetent that they legitimately thought that guy was the Carnage Killer. Anyway, this is a very small stealth segment where we take out a few snipers, and then we go down there and rescue that innocent man. It's important to take out the snipers first, because otherwise they, of course, will shoot at us while we're trying to rescue the innocent man. It's not nearly as satisfying as the previous section because this one's not as open, but more stealth is more stealth. And we're going to see a room layout that's similar to this later, which is put to greater effect. Anyway, you remember that thing I was talking about where basically they were trying to capture a checkpoint? Well, in this case, that guy down there is the checkpoint that they're trying to capture, and as soon as we engage them in combat, we're going to have to stay in the circle with him. Otherwise, he's going to be in big trouble. I think this mechanic gets used maybe one other time. It's hard to remember, but I think it's just one more time where this weird mechanic with the big green circle gets used. It's not like it's a bad idea as a mechanic, it's just the fact is, the combat does not use up as much space as this giant circle. The circle's way too big.
These guys seem to think you killed a bunch of their friends.
It's not true. It's not true. I was going to my car, and I saw someone attack one of these Russian guys. He's the killer, not me.
How'd you end up here?
I yelled. Then the killer ran. I went to see if I could help the victim. Then his friend showed up. My hands were bloody. But they wouldn't believe that I didn't do it.
This man you say was the real killer. What does he look like?
White, red hair, skinny, wild eyes. The strength of a madman. Not the kind of madman I work with.
Your license says you live in Jersey. If you can prove you weren't in the city when the Carnage Killer struck, I'll let you go.
No problem. I was in San Diego all last week, at a convention.
That's the ambulance I called. You'll be okay now.